The second part of 3.1, we're going to talk about the natural base e. On your calculator, there's a little e to the x button. It's on the same button as the ln. And we'll talk about the difference and all that good stuff as we go through this. But e is a constant. It's like pi, right? The way that we came about e is explained here. It's an irrational number. I know most of you, this is how e was derived, where it came from. If you click the e button on your calculator, this irrational decimal comes up. So that's all you guys really need to know. If you're evaluating, okay, just like we did yesterday, and I'm going to go through this part quickly. But if you're evaluating, guys, you have your calculator, and it says e to the x, and they tell you what x is. So you literally hit the e button on your calculator and then put in 4.2. Go ahead and do that and tell me what you all get.
66.686.
66.686, okay? Isabella got that, so did Andrew, so we're good. All right, same thing on this one, guys. You have 125, then hit the e button, and then in your exponent, you have 0.05 times 30. You can just put it together. Question was, do you have to put times in between the e and the 125? No, you don't. But guys, it's really good to practice this, because if you make a silly keystroke or forget a parenthesis or something like that, then everything gets all messed up. So we need to make sure we know how to use our calculator, especially here towards the end. What'd y'all get?
560.21.
All right, 5.6. What is it?
0.21. I might have entered it wrong.
No, that's why we're doing this. Andrew, what'd you get? Same thing? Okay, probably retry. All right, but does anybody have any questions on their calculators? Yep. The day of the quiz or test is not the time to say to me, hey, how do you put this in? So if you have a calculator at home that you're not sure how to use, YouTube is real helpful. I can be as helpful as possible from here. So what I can do to help you guys. Yes, guys, when you graph, you have to use a calculator, because e is that crazy irrational number. So if you're asked to construct a table of values, let's just do this together. I'm going to plug in -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So in your calculators, guys, you're going to put 4, then hit E, and then in your exponent, it's -2 plus 2. So do that, please, and tell me what you get. So we got 4. All right, now same thing, but I'm going to say 4, E, and then in parentheses, my exponent, -1 plus 2. What do we get? 10.87? Yeah. All right, that's what we got in here too. Okay, so 10.87. All right, now I'm going to say 4e to the 0 plus 2. What do y'all get? 29.56. Do we agree at home?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's plug in 1. You could either put 1 plus 2, or you could put 3, whatever you guys want to do. 80.34, something like that. And then e to the 4th power. 2 plus 2.
218.39.
218.39. Guys, look at the numbers on this graph. Just going from -2 to +2 on the x-axis, look at the jump that these numbers take. Exponential graphs start off slow, like I told you, and they grow in a hurry. So I'm probably not going to have you graph something that's this ginormous, but you guys can tell me something about this graph. If I asked you what the domain was, what would you tell me? Negative infinity, positive infinity. If I asked you what the range was, you would tell me what? What's the range?
2 to infinity.
What's being added or subtracted right here?
Oh, 0.
0. So it's from 0 to infinity. What does that plus 2 mean up in the exponent?
2 to the left.
2 to the left. Good. All right. We should be able to identify all of our transformations, and that's going to be on your quiz. You guys, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of functions and say, what are all the transformations? And you need to be able to say, it moves up 6, right 4, reflect, excuse me, reflect over the x, vertical shrink, that sort of, But yeah, I know what you're saying. All right, guys, compound interest. You guys have seen this before. I know 100% you've seen this before. This is a super duper easy concept, but it is so easy to make a mistake when you put this in your calculator. All right, we're going to talk about compounding interest. I know you guys have all heard this before, talking about loans from banks and stuff like that. The two formulas that are super important are these two here. Continuous. If your problem ever says to find the balance after blah, 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 and the interest is compounded continuously, you use this. A-PERT, I always say. Any other time we talk about compound interest, you use this formula up here. But when they say that it's compounded continuously, you use A-PERT. All right, there's two different formulas. You need to make sure that you understand the difference between the two. The only time you use A-PERT is when we are compounding continuously. So let's just look at problems. We'll talk about what everything means, where everything is. First thing I think you should do whenever you have one of these interest problems is you should write at the top of your paper. You should do this on your WebAssign. Continuous. Did I spell that right? Continuous is A-PERT. Right? And then what is my other compounded formula? Read it to me.
It's A equals
P times, right?
Yeah, parentheses 1 plus R over N, or parentheses to the power of NT.
Power of NT. All right, now let's talk about what all these letters stand for. P is your principal. Write that down. P is principal. It's what you start off with. It's what you start off with. R is your rate, but it has to be as a decimal. Some of you will make that mistake, leave it as a percentage, and the problem will be wrong. T is your time in years. And N is how the money is compounded. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in a second. All right, you're going to have to be familiar with different words. If I say annually, how many times does something happen if it's annually? Once a year. If I say semi-annually, I spelled it wrong. Semi-annually is how many times a year? Twice. Okay. What about if I say quarterly? What about if I say quarterly? How many quarters are in a dollar? 4. How many quarters are in a basketball game? 4, right? So quarterly is 4. What about if I said monthly? How many months are in a year? Yep. 12. What about if I said daily? 365. All right, you guys need to be familiar with those terms because you're going to be given a word problem and it's going to say, I have this amount of money, I did this, I did that, compounded. And when I say quarterly, you should think the number 4. When I say monthly, you should think the number 12. If I say semi-annually, you should think the number 2. Right? Everybody with me? So these problems are super duper easy. It's just really easy to make mistakes when you're plugging in the calculator. So let's work A, B, C, and D out. We'll go through this. We'll talk about it. If you guys have any questions, here we go. But let's identify everything that they told us. It says find the accumulated value of an investment of $15,000. What is your principal amount? What did you start off with? Okay, so $15,000. And it says for a time of 2 years. What is that? What variable is that? T. Okay. So T is my time. It's 2 years. Interest rate, that's R, of 3.2%. Guys, that is not a decimal. That's a percentage. What is the interest rate as a decimal?
.032.
Yes, ma'am. 0.032. Just because there's a decimal point in your percentage doesn't mean it's already a percentage. Already a decimal. You have to move the decimal place 2 places to the left in order to make it into a decimal. Does everybody understand that? There's a huge difference in the number 0.032 and 3.2. So when you put that in your calculator, it's going to make a ginormous difference. So N. N is the thing that's going to change from A to B to C to D. In letter A, what is my N value? 2. What's my N? When I say compounded semi-annually, what's N? N equals 2. All right. In B, I'm going to use what number for N? 4, because it's quarterly. In C, I'm going to use what number for N? 12. And I see the word continuously. What do I use when I have my interest compounded continuously? A PERT. A equals P E to the RT. All right, again, this is not anything, this is a lot of calculator work. And if you don't put it in your calculator correctly, you're going to either get syntax error or some crazy number, something like that. So let's try and work this out. Letter A. So I have P is my principal, so 15,000 times 1 plus. What was my R? 0.032 divided by, what's my N? 2. And I'm going to raise that to the what power? What? 2 times 2. So you can either put 2 times 2, or you could put what number? 4. Now look what I did, guys. Okay, this is really important. Do you see how inside my parenthesis, the 0.032 divided by 2 is also in its own parenthesis? You need to do that.
Put it in the calculator?
Try that. Try to put it in your calculator and see what we get. And if you're getting a little frustrated with your calculator, no big deal. We're going to work on it.
You put like the little curves on for us, or you can do that already?
No, you could just put, when you write it, you could just put the 4, but in your calculator, you have to hit the arrow thing to make it raise to the 4th power. What are y'all getting? Talk to me.
3 point.
All right, $15,983 and
29 cents.
29 cents. Okay.
I got 15,000.
What'd you get?
15,000.
983. Same thing or no?
15,000. Like 15,000. I don't know. 15,000.
We're
Okay.
good.
I hope everybody else is good.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at B. Same thing. We're still using the $15,000 that we started off with. So I have 1 plus. Now this time, I still have my same interest rate of 0.032. But how am I compounding letter B? What is my N value if I'm compounding quarterly? 4.
4.
So close your parenthesis, and then I'm going to raise it in your calculator, hit that caret button, to the N times T. So my N value is 4, my T value is 2, so 4 times 2 is 8. Be careful that you don't make a mistake and say 4 times 2 is 6, because you added, right? So throw that in your calculator. Get all your parentheses and stuff good to go. Throw that in your calculator. Okay, hang on. What are you getting, Bella? Andrew, what'd you get?
For the second one, 15,987.31.
Okay. Same thing you got too, right, Pablo?
Yeah.
15,987, you said?
Yeah.
0.31. Look at the difference in those two numbers. Whoa. Sorry. Look at the difference in those two numbers. Is it a huge difference? No.
No.
So like I said, there's various ways. If you're still like, man, I don't know if I put this in right. You should be around the same ballpark. If you're putting this in and you get something that is astronomically bigger than what you started with, you should really rethink and look back and say, wait, did I put everything in correctly? Are we okay? All right, let's try C. Okay, let's look at C. again, what's the principal? What did I start off with? What's the amount that they started me off with? 15,000, right? Okay. So I have 1 plus. My interest rate is still the same, 0.032. But this time, in letter C, I'm compounding monthly. So what is my N value? 12. So I'm going to raise that to the N times T. Well, my N value was 12. My T is 2, so it's to the 24th power. I know that seems like, oh my gosh, to the 24th power. Well, think about the decimal point 0.032 divided by 12. It's going to be teeny tiny, so you should be, again, in the same ballpark. Good. 15,990 point what?
202.
02. Okay. Now, a couple things I want to bring to your attention. Guys, we're talking about money. So I shouldn't have to tell you to round to 2 decimal places. Don't answer a question like this and be like, I'm going to take points off for that. Like, you're talking about money, round to cents, dollars and cents. If you're reading it, try real hard. You guys are never going to go into a bank and be like, hey, I need 60453, like, right? They would look at you and laugh at you. So practice reading it. You guys are doing a good job, 15,900. Sometimes we get a little lazy and we're like 1, 5, 9, 8, 7. Don't do that. You guys with me? Everybody all right? Okay, let's do the last one. Let's do the last one and we're done. My friend, who? Who's my friend? APERT. Thank you, sir. Why am I using APERT? Because it says continuous. When it says continuously, you immediately say, oh, APERT. Look where the R and the T is. Are you multiplying the principal times E times R times T?
No.
Where is the R and the T? In the exponent. So I take my principal amount, which is 15,000, and then I have E, and the exponent comes up. What's your interest rate? 0.032 times, what's your time? 2. Notice what's not used in the APERT formula. What value is not used? The N. Because remember, N is how your money is compounded. Is it compounded quarterly, monthly, yearly, something like that? This is continuous. That's why we use this different formula. So what'd you all get?
I got
15,000.
900 and, oh wait.
No, good. You're good. Go ahead.
$991.39.
Perfect. Same thing, Pablo?
Yes.
Andrew, same thing? Ed, same thing?
Yeah.
Good job. All right, so again, look at all of these values. Is there one value that when you compounded it between monthly, quarterly, that it was just like crazy bigger than the other one? No. So when you guys work these problems out, you know, I might give you something where, I don't know, because I'm just going to throw numbers in. So, you know, where it's over 16 years or something like that. But you should not get anything that is grossly larger than the amount that you started off with. Because this is like real life. You don't, there's no banks that are, you know, you put $500 in and after a year you have like $1 million. It just doesn't work that way. But you guys really need to be familiar with the words annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, daily, that sort of thing. So you guys know what to plug in for your N. Question?